way you've been drawing your digital art, drop it. Drop it immediately. What up YouTube, it's your boy Double M and I'm coming back at you with yet again another video. You see, me being a digital artist and I've been doing this for a number of years, I feel like the pieces that I've created over the years make me qualified enough to make this video, at least give tips here and there. That's why in this video, I'm going to give you tips, I'm going to guide you for all my lost artists, and maybe for those who are trying to find a different shading. I'm going to show you how to cel shade, how I cel shade, and slide in some tips here and there. Cel shading. It's just another way of shading your art. It's in the name. What makes cel shading special is that it just uses flat colors for everything, from shading to highlights. The colors don't blend into one another or blend into each other like they would in a properly painted picture, right? It's just a color on top of a color. You can see where this color ends and when the next color starts. This shading style is popularized in a lot of cartoons, anime, a lot of 2D animated content, sometimes even 3D. It's mainly done because it demands less time compared to actually painting what you're creating, because these animators, these people behind the TV series that we enjoy today, they don't have enough time to be blending the light into the skin and whatnot. Now that you're gonna put the flat color on top of the flat color and let the person enjoy the series in time. But that doesn't mean it doesn't look good. A lot of artists, including myself, still enjoy to play around with this shading type, That's mainly why I like to mess around with this style, because I like how it looks. The possibilities are endless. But of course, it still consumes less time. So, the idea behind cel shading, you're basically just using what is called flats, which are just basically flat colors that are not blend to each other. You basically have 3 layers: the base, the light, and the shadow. The base is just basically the color of what you are drawing. The light is a lighter version of the color that is what you are drawing, the color that's in what you are drawing. And the shadow is basically the darker version of that color. Let me take you through my cel shading process and show you how I play around with these 3 basic layers. So after I have what I'm drawing as a sketch, I slap on that line art so I can start with the cel shading process. Actually, line art in a way can have its own play into your cel shading process, but that's another video for another time. So with the cel shading process, you start by putting in your flats. The colors of what you are drawing, you put them where they need to be. The shirt is this color, put it there. The pants are that color, put it there. Basically putting down your flats, the first layer, the basic layer. Then after that, I create a new layer for my shadows, for my shading. Now what I usually like to do is I create this new layer and I put that layer at a low opacity, sort of like 30%, and then I go over with the color black. Now before you actually take this as your own or use this method, you gotta understand that if you do this with especially a lot of vibrant and bright colored illustrations, it sort of makes your illustration look dull. So if you're using a lot of bright and vibrant colors, rather use the darker color that's next to that color on the color wheel. Like say for example, you're drawing an orange. Now to shade that orange, use a little bit of dark reddish, orange-ish type thing. It's still a darker version of orange, but it still has a bit more red in it, That's what I'm trying to say. Otherwise, you're gonna have a dull, flat looking orange. Majority of the times, I do like to still go over making just with a black layer, just with the color black, low opacity. Yeah, most of the times when my drawings will come out dull, but I work a lot with I don't work with a lot of vibrant colors. So when you're using a lot of vibrant colors, or when I like to use a lot of vibrant colors, I do like to use the color that's next to it that's a bit darker. But yeah, that's totally up to you. Again, what I like to do for this layer, I create a new layer, low opacity, around 30%, depending on how intense your light is in your illustration, going over where the shade is with the color black. Now, next step, what I like to do is I like to think about the light that is in my illustration. Whatever color light it is, let's say, for example, I'm drawing someone in the daytime, so it's mainly gonna be a whitish or yellow color light. I create a new layer and I turn off the flats layer completely, so it's just the line weight and the shading layer. Now on that new layer, with the color of the light in mind, I fill in the gaps so that it's just going to be the line weight, the color of the light, and the shadows separately. So right in front of me, I should have the line weight with the color of the light and the low opacity black inside. Now, depending on the intensity of your light in the illustration, you want to play around with the opacity. Now, I leave it as the same opacity as the shadow, so 30%. Why I like to do this? I feel like this actually makes the character or whatever or whoever it may be that you're drawing fit a little bit more into the environment, because at the end of the day, when you just have the flats and a lighter and darker version of the color and you have the environment, there's two different things. You're trying to make these things one, because at the end of the day, you're making one whole illustration. But anyway, after that, I have a new layer for my highlights, exactly like what I did for the shading layer. I'm gonna do for the highlights layer. I'm gonna play around with the opacity, keep it 30%. The golden rule here for this cel shading tutorial, 30%. Play around with that opacity, but instead of using black now, I use white. So going over with that low opacity of the white or low opacity of the actual color of the light in your illustration, but that's up to you. Most of the time I like to use low opacity white. But yeah, low opacity of the white, I go over the illustration showing the highlights. Now what I like to do next is actually something I learned from another YouTuber that goes by the name of whytmanga. This is done to actually make what you're drawing fit even more into the environment that you are drawing them or whatever it may be in. So basically what you do is imagine you're drawing someone in a orange room or in a blue room, right? Let's take a blue room. You're gonna take the color of that room, blue, make it a darker version of that blue, right? And then you're gonna fill that character or whatever it is with that color as a new flat on a new layer. Now with that new layer, you're gonna turn it from a normal layer into a linear burn layer. Now I don't know about the other softwares, but what I work with is IBIS Paint X. So to turn it into a linear burn layer, you go to your layer, you tap where it says normal, and you scroll down till you see that linear burn. After turning it into a linear burn layer, play around with the opacity. The more opaque it looks, the more intense it looks, the more it really sets the mood, the more it really makes the character fit into the environment that you're drawing. But remember the golden rule, 30%, but it's up to you, don't forget. Just play around with the opacity and see what it is. And that's basically it. That's basically how I like to cel shade my illustrations. But that shouldn't be the way you should be cel shading your illustrations. What I mean is you should find your ways, experiment ways, come up with different ways. You, for example, take my video and other video, take my method and other artists' methods, and come up with your own cel shading method. You know, what I even like to do sometimes is play around with the number of layers that I'll have for shading alone. I'll have multiple layers for shading. I'll have multiple layers for highlights. This is something that I picked up from another artist, Sung Ian Kim. Please forgive me if I have butchered the pronunciation. But yeah, this is an artist that I particularly like to make a lot of studies of. He's a well-known art director with a lot of good works under his belt, some being Legend of Korra and Boondocks. Looking at his illustrations from afar, they actually look like actual paintings, but if you look closely, you can see how different colors, how different flat colors look different from each other, are not blend into each other at all, but all contribute, all are put into this beautiful composition with the method of cel shading. He doesn't always use just one layer for shading and just one layer for highlights. Now that's when he's doing the simple stuff, the simple character design stuff. But when he's really putting in that work in that illustration, he can even use up to 3 layers all being layers of shading, all having different opacities. Bro, his highlights have highlights. But that's basically what I'm saying. Looking at these different artists that you admire, these art styles that you like, take in what you like, take in what you enjoy, take in what interests you, and sort of make it your own, you know what I'm saying? But don't mainly take from one artist. That's a mistake that I made. But that's basically it. That's basically how to cel shade your art. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure to drop that like. And if you have not, hit the subscribe button to become a member, to become a part of the Double Empire. You see what we do here? We do many things. We do art challenges, we do art tutorials, we do many art related type videos. This is an art channel with good vibes. So again, hit the subscribe button if you have not to join the Double Empire. Make sure to check out my other videos. Make sure to check out my work, my actual work on my Instagram and my Twitter. Just make sure to follow me on all of these platforms, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. Make sure to catch up, make sure to be properly a part of that Double Empire. God bless, and until next time, Double M out.